Hello everyone and welcome to the Theatre Pitch podcast, the podcast where we take a random online encyclopedia article each week, we turn them into theatre pitches and each of us pitch, and then at the end of the episode we smush them together. My name is Jem, this is Sean.
Hello Gemma.
Hello Sean, and this is Joe.
Hello Gemma, hello Sean.
Hello Joe.
Hello Joe.
Hello audience.
Hello audience. Welcome to this episode, which, Joe, what is this episode about?
Well, this week the Random Encyclopedia sent us to the Montecito Picture Company. The Montecito Picture Company is a film production company co-owned by Ivan Reitman and Tom Pollock. It is located on the Sony Pictures lot in Culver City, California, and the word Montecito is a city in California in the Santa Barbara County.
Ooh.
Ooh! How did you guys find this one?
As always, yeah, sure.
He doesn't know yet.
As always, we'll find out in the moment how it went. But honestly, I feel good about this week because I know that for anyone who listened last week, I can only go up.
By doing something.
Yeah. Literally, if I have a pitch, I've done better this week.
I found it relatively easy, which I'm worried about because it's not that complicated, mine. So it might end up I might be the Joe of this podcast this episode.
Mine's not that complicated. I think it was one of those where I looked at the article and went, oh, that's going to be super, super easy. And then came up with an idea that I think is a solid idea, but I'm not enthused to see it at all.
So how are we going to decide who's going first?
Well, that's a good question, Sean. Why don't you go first?
Ooh, self-nomination.
Gosh, I was going to think of like some clever system where I rolled a dice and said, Gemma, pick a number. And then whatever number it was, I was like, oh, Gemma, you have to do it. But, okay.
I'm going to pick the number Sean. Go for it.
That's not a number.
Yeah, you two haven't worked out by now. The system is, I avoid going first by telling one of you two to do it. It's whoever gets in there first determines the order.
And I avoid going first by being the host.
And I always go first because I am the highlight of this podcast. I bring the energy. I bring the theatre. I bring the knowledge, and then I edit it as well. So you know what? I just bring it all.
Yeah, as far as Jem and I might know, this podcast might end after Sean finishes his pitch. He might just edit it to make it look like we've said, wow, Sean, your idea was good enough we can't be bothered to pitch. That's it for another week. Bye.
Occasionally, when Sean has multiple ideas, he then dubs over our voices in little mimics of us.
But it's just him talking about Power Rangers RPM.
Whoa! Don't bring RPM into this, right? Do you know the Red Ranger in RPM is in Jessica Jones? Have I told you?
Yes, and yeah. I know that one of the other Rangers from it is also Liv More from iZombie. Moving on.
That's what I was going to go for.
Joe, have you not learned?
Have I broken him?
There are three things we never say around Sean unless we want to rant. But before we list them and risk the rest of the show,
I wonder what the other two
Sean,
are. Star Trek and Liverpool.
Dear picture.
Hey,
go.
So this one was an interesting one, and I'll tell you why. So it's basically a list of films that they made. Yeah. That's basically it was like a little bit saying, oh, this is who they are, and then it was like, this is what they've done. So I interpreted that as, here's a list of films, pick one that you want to put on stage. Yeah? Are we all okay with that? Have you all lost me or something?
You're coming through a little bit garbled, but I'm still with you,
okay.
I think.
Just pretend I said something amazing. Oh, well, I'm going to have to edit all of this out because this ain't good banter. So yeah, it was a list of films, so I had to pick a good film that I thought would look good on stage. And I'm looking through, and there is actually a film that I actually really like, and not many people.
Can I guess which one it is?
Of course
Yeah,
you
can we each get one guess?
Okay, it's a film that I've watched a couple of times, really enjoyed it, and thought it's a really good film. And,
Okay, I know definitely which one it is.
I know which one it is.
Euro Trip.
No.
Hitchcock.
Huh?
Hitchcock.
Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Nope. You mean
Oh.
Hancock?
No.
Hancock.
No.
No, they did produce on their Hitchcock, the biopic about the life of Alfred Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins and Scarlett Johansson.
No, it's not them ones.
So it turns out I might be the Joe because I saw Hitchcock and thought Hancock. Okay.
Jem's made a superhero.
Is your pitch going to be for a stage version of Hancock?
It's a musical version of Hancock. No, it's not.
Okay,
Sean.
Sean,
what's the rest of your pitch?
Okay, Sean, can I take one more guess? One serious one.
Joe.
Is it?
Of course
Is
you
it
can.
I Love You, Man?
No, but I love you too. It's is it Disturbia?
Oh yeah, Disturbed's a pretty good film.
It's a really good film, and it's all. So I thought, oh yeah, that's such a good. I enjoyed it. It's it's not like the best film in the world. It's basically a rear view rip-off, but and the story is this kid. I mean, like, he basically ends up having an electronic tag put on his leg, and he's got house arrest, and he can't leave his house, and he's just living his life stuck in this one room, and he's looking out the window. Oh, there's a hot new neighbour. He's looking out the window. Oh, there's some young kids and they're annoying, and he's looking out his window and he's like, oh, I think my next door neighbour's a serial killer. And that's the film, and it's him just like keeping an eye on the neighbourhood, passing away the hours, and really thinking that his next door neighbour is a serial killer. So I
Sean,
thought,
before you continue, I do just need to do one thing for an insert here.
have I missed something?
It's a loose remake of Rear Window. Rear View is the finishing maneuver of the wrestler Naomi.
I'm sorry.
That's
Have I, mate? You know what? I get them mixed up all the time.
James Stewart, a woman beating someone by hitting in the face with her ass.
Yep.
Same thing.
It's easily done, isn't it? So yeah. So that's the film. What I would do is put it on stage, and it is basically his bedroom, and you follow the kid, pretty much the same narrative, and you only ever see him in this room, and it's him building. You really just you don't know why he's there in the theatre show, and you don't really see the neighbours. You don't see what he sees. You see it through him, and he's telling the story. And that's my theatre show. It's that show on stage. And the reason why I picked that one, because I thought, well, that's really gonna... What a time to do a show like that when we've all been stuck in our one room, or, in the house, looking out the window. You've probably been there where during lockdown, you saw someone walk, and you're like, well, where are they going? Well, what's their story? Why do they think they can go? And it's basically that on stage, and it's what his, he might see his parents, his mate might come round, but it's that film on stage. End of. Boom. Simple as. No music, no musicals this week. It's just a straight, pretty much one man play, trying to keep an eye on his neighbourhood, and maybe his neighbour kills people.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's quite fun. My pitch is not as good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sean, I do want to ask in terms of things. So are we keeping the action entirely to, is the play going to make us wonder more because we're going to be in the room the entire time, yeah?
We're going to be in the room with him the entire time.
Is it playing more off a certain paranoia from the audience than of thinking, what can he actually see? Because we can't see it. We've only got his word to take for it.
100%. It's you're taking his you know, is he a nosy neighbour that's like putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5? You don't know. And that's what I really thought about. Oh, how could I do like the different, go to his house, go to his, but then I thought, no, let's take that all away, and it's just, you know, it's just that one room, and it's really left for the audience to try and like, is it all in his head? Has the boredom got to him? Because I thought to myself, like, I've been like in this room for like the past year, and I've been looking out the window sometimes thinking, oh, they're finally doing some work on that house over there. Oh, they're making that loft massive. You know, it's that, but you think your neighbour's a serial killer.
Wow. I like that. That's like, I know I like that idea because my brain's trying to start to write it.
Yeah,
as we're talking.
My
brain's like, I want to go now. I want to type it up.
Such a cheap show. I need a bed.
Yeah.
And a wardrobe. Sound.
So much fun to perform as well.
Yeah, you could easily play it for laughs. You could easily play it, but then you could also just like play it proper serious, like he's going crazy. Or
I think it would be a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think it's that, you know, it's that talking to yourself can be funny, but can also be really quite scary. I like it.
People I live with think I'm talking to myself when I do these podcasts. I don't tell them. They just think I'm just like chatting nonsense about Starlight Express. Scaffolding.
Oh, I'm enjoying that. So it's the people you live with think you're crazy, and there's the people at my local shop that think I'm crazy for talking to you who's not there whilst I'm walking around. We just need to make sure that Joe is seen as crazy.
See, the irony of this is someone actually messaged me the other day to ask me how I've managed to remain sane during lockdown, to which my simple answer to them was that, in fact, I actually was able to keep the same level of sanity by being probably insane going into it.
Yeah. So, Joe, do you need more time to think of an idea?
I don't. But
okay.
This is one of those where I've kind of got 2 ideas in my head, but I'm tempted to, if it's cool, I'm going to try and do both of them as like, you know, kind of, neither of them are going to go gem time in terms of pitching.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I've got my stopwatch out.
So my first one is, well, this will only really be as important to Jem and Sean, but one of the first projects that I actually worked on when I kind of became a full proper member of OFIT-D was a currently still unproduced, but waiting for it to work stage play based around 80s nostalgia, and specifically a love of the films of the 80s. Whereas to me, this is a lot of the films listed here: Euro Trip, Road Trip, Old School, I Love You Man. Kind of, these are all the films of a specific kind of like mainstream Hollywood comedy being charted from around year 2000 to 2010 that I have honestly just as much fondness and nostalgia for as I do really for kind of some of the 80s classics. So what I wanted to do was kind of do a thing here about the idea being it's a play about these sort of kind of like the way that these gross out comedies kind of started off being like really kind of, oh yeah, we're going to be edgy. And then gradually through them, by the time we get to around like I Love You Man, they started more thinking, actually, we can't really push it this far if we don't forget that you got to have some kind of actual heart. You've kind of got to have at least one character you care about in there. and preferably at least one relationship you care about in there, be it, in the case of I Love You Man, the relationship between a man and his best man.
Yeah.
But so what I want to do is take it about showing this, do the old classic of a writer who, as they're producing these things, the stuff that they're writing starts to become true. Where kind of it starts off just about someone who's basically bringing their first screenplay to Hollywood. And what they want to do is they want to produce this little comedy that it's not what they want to be writing, but they're pretty sure it's what's going to sell. And that is a road trip style movie. And they basically, this inadvertently does become a hit. And they get caught in this loop of making these more ridiculous films, where the thing is, because they realize that was their one idea they had, their life starts pulling in these wild and crazy turns. And so they start writing about, like, that time they went on a trip around Europe to find the girl he was in love with. And all these things, kind of, we start pulling from the plot to these films, suggesting that he ran out of ideas, so he just started cribbing from his increasingly ridiculous life. But the ending starts becoming the point where he realizes that actually kind of he's writing these films and he's still becoming somewhat successful as a result of them, but he's still not happy because he hasn't written anything he's proud of. And in the way of reaching the climax, which is round about the point of I Love You Man, I know all these weren't written by the same person. Go with me. It's his realization that he's got this far and he's written all these things, but he's kind of pushed away everyone in his life because everything he's thrown into his script has been what's happened to him. So it's featured everyone in his life and they're tired of him cribbing them for his stories. And they feel like they're all making them look like a bunch of shallow, horny 20-somethings. And so it eventually becomes about how he has to write a script that is reflective of his own desire to actually kind of be liked. And it's about how there's nothing wrong with actually wanting to be liked and with wanting to do what makes you happy, even if it's not actually what's the most successful, that ultimately that happiness is more important than success, or at least to some people it is. But if success is what makes you happy, that's okay too.
I like it.
Yeah. And my other idea was just because I love the film Up in the Air. It was an immersive theatre piece set in an airport waiting lobby.
As much as we haven't been able to travel for so long, I still don't miss airport waiting lobbies.
Yeah. So let's just throw the second idea out, as frankly it doesn't need developing. Any questions about the first one?
I've never thought of using an airport as a performance space.
The paperwork would be a nightmare.
It wouldn't.
Also, all the people who were there
Depends
to
on
get
what side you're doing it on.
flights.
Yeah, and they wouldn't know.
I
And imagine the entrance. Imagine if you have like a flamboyant character do his entrance on the baggage carousel. Just appears.
Love it.
Like,
To be fair, you
"Woo,
could
yeah."
definitely get a disused warehouse of the kind that apparently exists because it's what we used for Jem's idea last week, and just make it up to look like an airport waiting lobby.
Yeah.
That
It's just a
seems
series of warehouses next to a runway
Yeah.
with some shops. I like your idea. It's very Seven Psychopaths-esque. It feels like it can be quite on the edge of Seven Psychopaths. And also that Emma Thompson film.
I love Seven Psychopaths. And he's like,
I know.
you didn't bring a gun to the final shootout? And he's like, no, you didn't. You told me not to bring a gun.
It is.
Such a
It's one of
good
those
film.
films that is surprisingly fun. I like it. I I am curious as to how it becomes a theatre show rather than just a film. But
well, there is
I
the
do
thing
like the
is
premise.
much in the way of kind of how I pitched this for when we were doing this 80s show. I kind of want to use like an inventive kind of almost pop-up set style to kind of like whimsically transition between these various different scenes. Kind of, and to almost like using things like we can just use projections and stuff, but to create the feel of it almost being like kind of, or you two both, I know Sean does, Jem, have you ever been to with us see any of the Police Cops plays?
Yeah.
Yeah, Police
Yeah,
Cops
of course
are a
I've
great
seen-
example of how to use kind of rudimentary prop work and physical theatre to convey the idea of it being an action movie on the stage. And I think that's
Yeah.
the kind of thing that we could do, but applying it to the kind of 2000s gross out comedy scene instead.
Yeah. Police Cops do a really good job of that. Okay.
This is my new way of if you look back at the last few episodes, this is my new way of selling things to Jem and Sean. Is I've learned that in their language, it's just if you explain to them a show they've liked and say it will be kind of like that, they don't ask more questions.
Maybe I didn't ask any more questions because I hated the idea and I didn't even want to try and salvage it.
It could be that. Maybe Sean's never liked an idea I've had.
You know, when you think, if you think something's so awful, you're like, well, I should just buy a new one. That's how I see. No, I'm joking.
Okay. So, Sean, have you got any questions? Or has Police Cops shut you up?
I liked it. I could see it as a film. I could see it as a play. It's a nice story. And you know what? That's what I expect from Joe.
Yeah. And because I know that there is one question you probably have, Sean, which is that actually to combine the two, I think for my local regional theatre spotlight this week, there's a lovely little kind of theatre and cinema in Chesterfield called the Pomegranate Theatre that I think would be the perfect place for this.
Okay. Pomegranate is a very long word to write out. As I take
think,
my notes.
Joe, you know what? I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Perform it in a space like in a cinema space. Like I think you've hit. Yes, I'm on board.
It.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you the context or like the what's the word I'm looking for? Is it ghost and host? Where you expect...
I was about to say, are you going to bring up the ghost and host theory? For anybody who's listening who doesn't have a degree in theatre, quick summary of the ghost and the host theory is essentially it's a theory about how spaces, because of our memory of them, are more alive and have like the ghosts being the memories that people have of that space. So no space is clean. So it's a big theory in theatre that you should use the ghost in the host space. Or not.
Thanks, Jem. I weren't about to just explain the concept and theory that I'd brought up myself, but thanks for butting in.
Yeah, thanks for Jem-splaining.
I haven't spoken
thanks
in
for
a while.
Jem-splaining. Basically, Joe, ghost and host is, spaces that we use or that we've been to. We have a general idea and context for how they're being used. So even when you try and use the space differently, you've still got that sort of like subconscious context that you think. So when you go to
so like if you were seeing a site-specific piece that was that was set in a church and it's inside a church, you can associate them. But if it was meant to be set in like an abandoned warehouse and it was in a church, you would still be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I'm in a church.
In a church, yeah. great example. Everyone knows what church is. Everyone knows the symbolism. And when you go and sit in a church and you see a show, the things it's making you feel or think, or the themes that the show's telling, you're always gonna have that. The context of the space that you're in is gonna affect that as well. Boom. Yes. What you just said. Add that theory. Let's do it.
Tell you what, I'm just feeling like right now, basically after last week, I just feel like the actually getting that pitch to work somewhat is, I think for the rest of the episode, you could just insert, for me, that gif of Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine going, "Vindicated!"
Yes. Okay. I'm not sure how I add a gif to Final Cut, but I can Google it.
You don't need to. It's fine. So, Jem, what's your pitch?
Okay. So I oddly, knowing my pitch, I think we're going to have a fun smush in a bit. So, my pitch is, I very much sort of looked at the personal side of this being a studio and how they open the article with mention of who started the studio. And so I looked at the list more as, well, less as a list of films and more as a legacy. So that's very much what I wanted to kind of focus on. Is my show is a one-man show with an elderly gentleman who's looking back at the legacy that he's left. And this idea that he spent his life telling stories and the impact those stories had on people, and is that the impact that he wants to leave behind? And, did he just with silly films encourage bad behavior? Did, that question of, have you done enough? What have you left behind? Are you proud of it? Is it something that you can put into the world and be proud of? Especially since the film industry is fraught with things that are getting destroyed because the other tangential things like people attached to them are destroying it because they are bad people. But I was very curious by this idea of this guy has made, this guy, and by inspiration the people who have these studios, they've made or broken careers, they've made or broken dreams, they've made or broken stories and ideas that get put out into the world, and you don't think of that as a big responsibility, but increasingly it is. So that's what I really wanted to explore, and that's pretty much where I got with the idea, because I thought the more I elaborate on it, the more it'll just be writing the script.
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. I like it, Jem. This has made me really, really think, like, this is like the second week where, like, I've pitched the thing that I thought is so obvious, and then you two have gone, like, nowhere near what I thought was, like, the most blatantly obvious and I thought everyone was going to do, and you've just gone, like, proper deep. And I know... I
thought we were all going to pitch the same thing as well.
Yeah, I have one comment to make and a question. The comment being, I'm so amazed that Ivan Reitman is the creator there. He created Ghostbusters. The most recent film by Montecito Picture Company is his son making a Ghostbusters movie, and none of us have pitched Ghostbusters on stage. But also, Jem, my question for you is, your piece is all about legacy, but what is a legacy?
What do you mean?
The answer is it's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. Come on, keep up, Jem.
It's quite left side. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we are going to cut to the smush, which I think, we've all pitched essentially one-person shows. We've all pitched them.
Can't do an episode without a musical, can we, Joe? No, just when we thought we were going to get there.
I had to go and just chuck in a Hamilton quote.
I've been listening to Hamilton this week as well. I thought that sounded familiar.
Hang on, you don't know Hamilton off by heart?
I do know Hamilton off by heart,
Doesn't
bar like a
seem
couple
like
of
Okay, Jem,
tracks that
pop
are just
quiz.
exposition.
Dun, 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 dun. How does a...
There are
It
five
could be
different
any of
versions
them, Joe!
Try one.
Hey, Gemma, what
But
room do you want to be in?
on instinct, bastard, orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman dropped in the middle of a... We know that I know it.
So the Smush.
And I can't... and the Smush. We've all pitched one-person shows.
I want to
We've all
make it
pitched-
clear. I pitched a show where I detailed the journey of the main character. It wasn't a one-man play.
He had a point where there was like lots of people
True.
pissed off.
Yeah,
He was making films about
very
them.
much supposed to. This is your conventional like kind of. I'd say about like 10, 11 cast play.
I envisioned it as a one-person show somehow.
Well, you're wrong.
I think my brain was just excited that there were other one-person shows about. I think that because Joe's is about somebody looking back on their life, mine's about somebody looking back on their life, Sean's about somebody staring at a potential serial killer. How are we going
And I
to
thought mine was the
smush-
obvious one.
How are we going to smush these ideas? Anybody got any ideas?
Okay.
Oh, I know. Joe, I know.
I'm gonna let
I know.
Sean pitch his idea first, but
Right.
yeah.
So it's my show. It's my show, but instead of having serial killer neighbours, he's got all quirky neighbours, and they all inspire him to make all these different films. That's what Joe's.
Ooh, I like
that's what
that.
Joe's one is, isn't it?
My idea was actually different. It was kind
Oh.
of combining elements of all three, which is it's about a legacy, but in this instance, it's an old man who sits down or old person. I'll open it up. An old person who they sit down deciding that they want to create their life story. So the play entirely takes place within one room in which they are attempting to write a script of the film of their life. And as they're doing this, we see various scenes happening within the room of kind of almost them recreating the memories, but detailing kind of it, and them getting lost in mixing up memory and bits of films they saw at the time these things were happening. And it's kind of bits where it's like so ingrained in their life is the pop culture that they absorbed that they can't really distinguish which bits happened to them, which bits were things they saw, and which bits were things they saw but in the style of things they were watching at the time.
Ooh, I like that. Sean, any thoughts?
Yeah, I do like it.
And as a result, there can be a running thread where they constantly keep thinking that their next door neighbour was a serial killer, but they're not sure whether that was just because they kept seeing Rear Window or Rear Window type films, such as Disturbia.
And that film script that they've always had, that they've always been working on, but nobody's ever published, has been about a serial killer living next door. But they've been typecast into their own writerhood, and they're only expected to write comedies.
Yeah.
And they don't want to turn it into a comedy because God damn it, it's a real serial killer.
Yeah.
Couldn't it just be a twist at the end? We all think he's gonna make like this great film, and then it just turns out he's living next door to a serial killer, and that's how it ends. He's dead.
I was going to say the twist is just like, and the script he eventually writes is my super ex-girlfriend.
After all that deep stuff, he just comes out with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just look at the script at the end and it just says my pitch for how they should have done Hancock.
I think how like the some student will take that show and make it really deep in their analysis of it. But it is like most Hollywood films sometimes where they just give up on the ending. Okay, so we have...
This kind of always eventually had to be these things because we started it by mentioning Rear Window with Disturbia and also with mentioning Jem's confusion between Hancock and Hitchcock. Hitchcock being the bloke who made Rear Window. So, it all has to tie together eventually with Hancock as well.
It's all cyclical.
You know what else, Joe? You know what else where we're talking circles? You know where you mentioned Power Rangers earlier about RPM?
Oh, fucking hell.
I have a pop vinyl behind me of iZombie. And it is Liv Moore, who was, as you know, the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers RPM. So it's all one big circle.
It's all a big circle.
She also played the younger sister in the movie The Lovely Bones, which is about a serial killer.
There you go.
Hey!
Wow, what a small world.
There you go. So Rose is the centre of our universe. Rose McIver. Good shout out to her.
Yeah, this is all part of the MCU, the McIver Cinematic Universe.
I love it. Okay, well, there you go, everybody. Thank you for listening. We've had 3 pitches and a 4th smush.
And if you want to find out more,
hand over to you.
Oh, thank you, Jem. I got too excited.
I didn't forget about you.
I thought you did, I thought you was about to do that bit where you go, oh, well, next week I want to see and something about the audience, and we're always like, you can't see the audience, Jem. So, but if you want to see more of us on Instagram, on Twitter and Facebook, just Google search One Foot in the Door or OFITD Arts. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. All of our information is in the description below, whatever you're listening to this on. It's a link tree, so you can get to all of it. And if you want to follow me, it's still Shawnee B on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow, who should I go for? Gemma. It is
OFITD_Gem with a J. And also at Happiness Anonymous Show for my other podcast.
And if you want to follow Joe, you can do that at...
On Twitter, you can follow me at NotJoeRanchka. That's NotJoeRaczka. And if you want to find my other podcasts, you can do so by searching for Boat Club Improv and Cannon Fodder with Joe and Joe, wherever you listen to your podcasts. But it might not be Boat Club Improv very soon, because we might have some written sketches coming.
Yeah. Ooh, deviating from the norm, challenging yourself. I like it.
Actual written material. I know.
Wow.
But
it's like you're using your degree, Joe.
This is why we've been so poor at Fortnite, because instead of concentrating, they're just like going through bits on voice chat. Someone's shooting me. I'm being killed. But no, Joe's like, oh, what do you think of this? How about
sorry,
protect
Sean,
me?
What are you talking about? I only know massively multiplayer online battle royale game.
Oh, whatever. But you know what? You should stick together.
So, would you like to know what we're going to be doing next week?
Yes.
Yes.
Next week, we're going to be doing... Warwick Castle! Warwick Castle is a medieval castle developed from a wooden fort, originally built by William the Conqueror during 1068. Warwick is the county town of Warwickshire, England, situated on a meander of the River Avon.
So, you guys are talking about Fortnite, or whatever Joe likes to call it, so that we're not using the word Fortnite. I've gotten really, really into Valheim, which is very building wooden castles, if you so deem it to be. I'm very excited for this.
Well,
okay.
I think we can all agree this could have the potential to be a very good episode, but let's find out how it goes next week.
I mean, can I just throw it out there? Right. We're all going to be doing a site-specific performance at the Warwick Castle, aren't we?
Almost certainly, but I've genuinely
Okay,
already
cool.
got my idea, and I don't think it's going to be the same idea that you two do.
Zombies.
I've got, at the very least, an alternate idea.
My idea is it's a site-specific performance at Warwick Castle.
About kings and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, it
Well-
might be now.
Well, we will have to wait until next episode, but thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you, hear you, and listen to you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Pitch out, bitches.